Hey guys, welcome back to the magical world of bookwords. My name is Renuka and welcome back to yet another bookish video. Audiobooks are a great savior for the people who cannot spare enough time to sit and read physical copies. When you're engaged in some other work or some other task which you are absolutely used to, you can still listen to audiobooks, you can enjoy them, and you can get the best out of those books. Storytel is an amazing platform that offers you 2 lakh plus books, and this is the platform where I listen to a lot of audiobooks. They offer books in multiple languages, they have multiple settings, they have various plans, and you can get an access to amazing audiobooks and ebooks at an extremely reasonable price. If you don't know about Storytel, I'll link it in the description, and this is not a sponsored video, but if you know about it, great, I'm sure you're having a good time. Today I'm going to share a few audiobooks that I listened to, I enjoyed, I loved them, and I think you should listen to them at least once in your lifetime. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. The first book on the list is Untethered by Aisha Ainun. This is the story of Zia, who at a very young age, I think 19, she is married off to Rashid. She actually wanted to complete her education, she loved to read, she wanted to become something, but according to the rules and regulations of her community, she was married off at a very young age. After a few years of marriage, she gave birth to Farah, a very beautiful daughter, but soon after Farah's birth, Rashid and Zia, along with Farah, have to leave their homeland, that is Colombo, and they have to shift to Australia due to the political turmoil and the situations in Colombo. This is the story of Zia and Rashid, along with their daughter, trying to cope up with an unknown environment, unknown atmosphere full of strangers. How Zia copes up with this sudden shift, how Rashid starts anew afresh, and how Zia starts to realize that she wants to become something more than a housewife and a mother and a wife. What I love the most about this book is the writing style. The simplest of the things are mentioned in the most beautiful way possible. The writing style of Aisha Ainun actually reminded me of Khalid Hosseini, and I would not compare anyone else's writing style to Khalid Hosseini unless and until I'm absolutely convinced, because Khalid Hosseini's writing style is honestly my favorite. So writing style was one thing that kept me hooked to the story. The story is quite straightforward, but the emotions depicted in this story are extremely powerful. This is a story of love, trust, friendship, betrayal at times, and how the life of Zia and Rashid wasn't any better than that of a refugee. So if you haven't listened to this audiobook, you must, and I'm sure you would discover something very, very beautiful in this. The next book on the list is extremely popular, The Hina Artist by Alka Joshi. Now this has been turned into a series called as the Jaipur Trilogy, but I love the first book the most. I have listened to the first 2 parts, but the first book is matchless according to me. This is the story of Lakshmi Shastri, who after deserting her abusive husband comes to Jaipur and starts her life as a henna artist. She dreams of becoming a matchmaker, earning a lot of money, building a house for herself, and seeking forgiveness from her parents for deserting her abusive husband. However, Lakshmi's dreams are confronted by reality when she comes to know that she has a younger sister, 13-year-old sister, whom she needs to look after. Now Lakshmi cannot afford to think about herself alone, she has to think about Radha first. This story takes a lot of turns, a lot of sharp turns that I hadn't expected. But again, what I love the most about the book is the writing style. This book actually absorbs you into itself. You actually get lost into the world of Lakshmi. You actually find yourself transported to Jaipur. The writing style is wonderful. Apart from that, the character development is lovely. The character of Malik, who is Lakshmi's helper, is my personal favorite. But the way the characters are developed, the way they are portrayed is outstanding. The emotional chaos, the intensity of emotions is what actually makes this book very, very powerful. Apart from that, the status of women at that particular time in Rajasthan is also very beautifully portrayed throughout the book, and the class difference, most importantly, is wonderfully portrayed. You can actually realize how the people from the middle class or the lower class were treated in a very bad way. They were actually discriminated, and how the people from the upper class consider themselves as superior without actually uttering a word about their class. How would they actually look down upon the smaller classes or the lower classes? So the class difference portrayed in this book is wonderful, and if you haven't listened to this book or even read this book, you must give it a shot. This book is hands down one of my most favorite books till date. The next book on the list is The Midnight Rose by Lucinda Riley. I'm sure you must have heard about it, but if you haven't listened to it, you need to. This is a story of Anahita, who is in her 90s, who strongly believes that her son is alive. However, she was told that her son was a stillborn baby and she is still searching for him. It's her birthday and her entire family has flown down to Darjeeling to celebrate it. And this is the day when she entrusts her favorite great-grandson Ari Malik with a written account of her entire life, and she requests him to investigate this part of her life. Secrets start revealing, story starts unfurling, but believe me, you're not ready for what takes place in the book. This is not a blurb, this is not a summary. My description hasn't done justice to this book. This book has a lot of emotions. It is very, very impactful emotionally. Apart from that, this has multiple timelines, it has multiple locations, but the transitions are so smooth, you do not feel dragged from one timeline to another. You are not confused between the timelines, between the characters and the locations. This book has almost all the emotions that you can imagine. It also has the bright, rich description of Rajasthani, Jaipuri palace culture. It also has the descriptions of the cool, composed, toned down London. So the canvas, the extent, the circumference of this book is vast, it is wide, and the writing style is amazing and the character development is top notch. So if you haven't listened to this book, also the narration is amazing. So if you haven't listened to this book, you're missing out on something extremely beautiful. I'm soon going to purchase a paperback of this book since I want it to be there on my bookshelf. But if you haven't listened to The Midnight Rose, you must listen to it. You must listen to it. Sorry, I got carried away with the descriptions of The Midnight Rose, but I'm sure you can imagine my love for the book. The next book is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is an extremely short book. I think it is a short story, not more than 40 minutes. But believe me when I say it, this book is so creepy, so creepy. I was exercising at 8 o'clock in the morning when I was listening to it for the first time. My mom was there in the next room and I still didn't want to be alone when I was listening to it. It is that creepy. And I love creepy books, by the way. This is the story of our unnamed protagonist who moves in with her husband into a new house, who has got a transfer or a change of job. She is in a room which was children's room before they shifted into that house, and that one of the walls of the room has a yellow wallpaper. It has been peeled off at certain points and she can trace some patterns in that, and this is what the story is about. Now our protagonist is under constant anxiety, but under constant pressure. She has constant anxiety, but she cannot put into words what exactly is the thing that is making her anxious and what exactly is the thing that is scaring her. So she cannot explain it to her husband as well, and slowly and gradually she starts getting absorbed into the wallpaper. She actually is fascinated by the wallpaper, she is scared at the same time, and the ending of this book is, that was a shocker. I had never imagined the end to be the way it is. So if you haven't listened to this book, and if you are a horror stories lover like me, you need to listen to this book right now. And the book is very well produced as well. The sound effects too are quite powerful, so you can have an entire experience when you are listening to this story. The next book on the list is Monsoon Memories by Renita De Silva. This is the story of Reena, a young child who discovers a photograph hidden in a photo album at her grandmother's house. There is a woman in this family photograph that Reena doesn't know or cannot recognize. On the other hand, the same woman, Shireen, is living away from her family in the United States of America, or in the US or in the UK, I'm not sure, but she is living in a foreign country with her husband, her loving, caring, wonderful husband, and she's trying to recover from her dark past. There are dark secrets hidden in Shireen's past that she is trying to get over, and this is the story of a family who abandons their daughter at the most desperate times. And this is the story of a daughter who's trying to cope up with the loss of her dignity as well as her family. This is the story of a woman who's trying to struggle, who's struggling for justice from her family itself. Again, the writing style of this book is wonderful. It is beautiful. It was predictable in some way, but the way it was portrayed was to die for. The main reason, the biggest reason why you need to listen to this book is the writing style and the character development. I loved it, and I think the writing style and the character development are the assets of all the books that I just talked about. So if you love the books with good character development and good writing style, beautiful, uh, flowery, descriptive writing style, I'm sure you'll enjoy this book and all the other books that I just talked about. But if you haven't listened to this book, you must listen to it. You will also connect to it, since it has a lot of Indian elements, a lot of elements about our culture, family, and you will identify with the characters in this book. That's what I think, and that's what I felt while I was listening to it. So if you haven't listened to it, you must listen to Monsoon Memories by Renita Risila. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Those were all the books that I think you must listen to at least once in your lifetime. If you have some book recommendations for me or other viewers and subscribers that you think everyone should listen to at least once in their lifetime, you must drop them in the comment section. The link to Storytel will be in the description. If you haven't downloaded it, or if you're not a Storytel subscriber, you must become one as soon as possible. Also, the links to both my Instagram handles are always there in the description. I share book reviews on Instagram. I share every single book that I read and I love over there. So if you're a book lover, you must follow me on Instagram and we can connect over books on Instagram. Thank you for watching the video till the end, and you know the drill. Please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and help me spread a lot of bookish love.